Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
Nino Brown Boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So I've been looking into this story about Canelo Alvarez, the IBF, basically planning to order a fight with Canelo versus Sergey Deverenchenko. If you don't know Sergey Deverenchenko, he recently fought, a couple of fights ago, he fought Danny Jacobs for the vacant belt that Triple G was stripped of. He lost that fight. Deverenchenko had an eliminator on PBC, and now he's back in line for a title shot again for the IBF. Now, before I dive in deeper on this topic, I just want to say it seems like, I've watched different videos, seen different comments, and this particular mandatory fight has the potential to block the Canelo Triple G3. And I'm completely fine with that. Me personally, it makes no sense for the IBF to make any concessions for the Canelo Triple G trilogy. When Triple G had their belt, he decided that he didn't have to abide by their rules and he was stripped. Now, based off what I've been saying, it seems like the IBF, even though at times, yes, it can be annoying, but it seems like they are the most consistent sanctioning body that's out there. And to me, it's like if you're a guy moving up in weight and you want to get a belt and you have a guy in your division that's unified and he has a goal of becoming undisputed, I feel like the route to go is the IBF route. And because you will be granted the opportunity to face the IBF champion. And sometimes it may get in the way, I feel like it shouldn't get in the way of Undisputed, but in a situation like this, it shouldn't get in the way of Undisputed, it shouldn't get in the way of another unification bout, but a situation like this, Triple G doesn't have a belt. Triple G had the opportunity to fight Sergey Deverenchenko and he chose not to. So with that being said, I'm completely fine with it. Like, I don't care about how big of a fight. It's not Canelo versus Deverenchenko. The man did what he's supposed to do within his sanctioning body, and he's the mandatory. Now, I wish the WBC would take a page out of the IBF book, because if that was the case, the Jamal Charlo fight against Canelo would have been ordered a while ago. It wouldn't be a lot of bullshit, a lot of fluff, but at this point, maybe if the IBF is, after the IBF forced Canelo's hand, Canelo has the option to vacate or this fight is mandatory. I mean, we've all heard Canelo, his goal is to be undisputed at middleweight. Well, a part of the responsibility with that is you got to face your mandatories, especially if it's not a unification bout. Now, if this was the situation, if Canelo saying his next fight he wanted to fight Demetrius Andrade, and this situation came up, then I would take issue with it because unification trumps mandatory. Triple G doesn't have a belt, and he had an opportunity to get a belt. Triple G decided he wants to go the easy route, and he's trying to snake his way into a third Canelo fight. So the IBF stepping in, forcing Canelo's hand, I have no problem with it. But it's just a lesson learned. I feel like people on the outside looking in, or people that are currently at 154 pounds, don't go the WBA route. Don't go to WBC. Definitely not the WBO. If you want to have an opportunity to get a belt at a new weight class, if you believe in your abilities, go the IBF route. Simply because once you earn your spot, you'll get your opportunity. I mean, a lot of the guys in the IBF ranking at 147 were given the opportunity to fight Errol Spence, and they were turning it down. Like, the IBF was literally going down the list trying to find Errol Spence an opponent, and these guys were turning down the fight. So I know people like to talk about the green belt with the WBC, but man, get your foot in the door. Like Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs got the IBF belt. and then he had another guy, a unified guy in his division that wanted to unify. I look at it like, if you have a WBC champion or a WBA champion in your particular weight class and they have no intentions on unifying with you, they're not going to do it. If they have enough star power, even if you're their mandatory, they're not going to fight you. Prime example right now, Jamal Charlo waiting for Canelo Alvarez. But if you go the IBF route and they don't want to face their mandatory, Triple G, they will be stripped or forced to vacate, whatever way you want to put it. And then you'll be granted your opportunity. My thing about it is, it may not always be the easiest route, but if you have the ability to get the job done, you'll at least be given your opportunity. And it's like a lot of guys in boxing today, they don't get their opportunity to display their abilities so they can level up in the sport. But it seems like the IBF is that sanctioning body, just making sure that these guys have their opportunity. The IBF makes sure that one loss doesn't define your career. So you fight a mandatory, you fight a title eliminator fight, you become the number one guy again, they grant you that mandatory spot. So hats off to the IBF. And I'm all for making this fight. If Canelo is a man of his word and he likes to, display how loyal he is, well, Canelo, you told your fans, you told your Mexican fans that your goal was to be undisputed. Guess what? Undisputed at this point in time has nothing to do with the Triple G trilogy. Undisputed has everything to do with facing your mandatory and facing Demetrius Andrade. Simple as that. Maintaining your belts and getting another one. Getting that last piece of the puzzle. But we'll see how all of this plays out. Like I said, me personally, I want Canelo to take the Deverenchenko fight. I don't care about DAZN and them possibly losing money because this isn't as lucrative of a fight. I really don't care about that. I'm a boxing fan, and if Deverenchenko get in the fight, has to set a precedence for other guys that want to go the IBF route. I mean, you have if you don't know, 154 is my favorite weight class. I don't want any of those guys going up to middleweight, getting in the IBF ranking, or getting in the WBA or WBO or WBC. I don't want them getting in any of those sanctioning bodies rankings. They work their way up to the number one spot, and then they got to wait around for years for their opportunity. I know it's absolute bullshit. I don't care if it's Jared Hurd, Tony Harrison, Jamel Charlo, Erickson Lubin, whoever it is, Julian Williams. Any of these guys decide to go up to middleweight tomorrow and they join the IBF rankings, I have confidence in the IBF that they'll put them in their position, their mandatory spot. If they're number one, they'll order the fight, and it's up to the champion to keep his belt or do what he's supposed to do and fight and defend his title against his mandatory. But we'll see what happens, guys. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I'm out.